For almost 7 years, Andrew had lived on the same quiet suburban street without ever feeling unsafe. The neighborhood was the kind people moved to when they wanted stability. Rows of identical houses, perfectly trimmed lawns, garage doors that opened and closed on predictable schedules, and sidewalks where children rode bikes and played basketball without fear. Neighbors waved casually to one another, exchanged smiles, and rarely locked their doors. It was the kind of place where nothing bad ever happened, or at least nothing bad that you couldn't see coming. Andrew worked from home, which meant that most days it was just him and his dog, Max. Max was a mixed-breed rescue Andrew had adopted 3 years prior. Medium-sized, tan fur, one ear standing erect while the other flopped slightly forward, giving him a comical yet endearing expression. Max wasn't aggressive, but he was quietly protective. Whenever a stranger walked past the house, Max would lift his head and watch intently until the figure disappeared from view. Andrew trusted him more than any alarm system, more than locks or cameras. That's why the silence felt so wrong the morning Andrew realized Max wasn't there. It was a Tuesday. Andrew had let Max out into the fenced backyard while he brewed his coffee, enjoying the smell of roasted beans and the soft hum of the morning. Normally, Max would be scratching at the back door within 5 minutes, impatient to come back inside. But that morning, 10 minutes passed, then 15. Andrew called his name, whistling softly, even shaking a treat from the kitchen. Nothing. No bark, no shuffle of paws, no excited scamper. Stepping onto the back porch, Andrew scanned the fenced yard. The gate was closed. The fence had no gaps, no signs of digging, no broken slats, nothing that could explain Max's absence. Panic started to seep into his chest. Max didn't run away. He never had. Andrew's heart pounded as he retraced the perimeter of his yard, scanning for any sign, any clue. He spent the next hour wandering the neighborhood, calling out, checking behind sheds, under cars, even knocking on doors. Some neighbors shrugged, offering sympathetic glances but little else. One mentioned a white van that had driven slowly through the area early that morning, but it seemed like an innocent detail. No one thought much of it. When Andrew returned home, the hollow weight of the empty house hit him. The sound of Max's nails clicking against the floor, the sound that usually made him feel grounded, safe, was absent. The first night without Max was unbearable. Andrew barely slept, tossing and turning, ears straining for the familiar sound of his dog's breathing or paws. Shadows seemed longer, corners darker, the house too quiet. He imagined Max's small body curling up beside him, imagined the soft weight of his head on Andrew's lap, but it never happened. The next day, Andrew posted flyers around the neighborhood, called local animal shelters, even contacted animal control. Nothing. Every phone call ended with a polite but hollow response. No dog matching that description has been brought in. Andrew's anxiety grew heavier, pressing against his chest. Then, late in the afternoon of the second day, there was a knock at the door. Startled, Andrew jumped, his pulse spiked. He opened the door without thinking. Standing on the porch was Thomas, a neighbor who lived 3 houses down. Thomas was quiet, middle-aged, thin, always neat and polite. Andrew had exchanged casual greetings over the years, but never more than that. Thomas held a leash. At the end of it was a dog. "Found him wandering near my backyard," Thomas said calmly. "Thought he might be yours." Relief surged through Andrew, almost making his knees buckle. He looked at the dog, Max, or at least what he thought was Max. Same size, same tan coloring, same floppy ear, but something was off. "Max," Andrew called softly. The dog didn't move, didn't whine, didn't nuzzle, didn't even wag his tail. He stood stiff, eyes wide, staring past Andrew into the house, as though afraid to step inside. Andrew laughed nervously. "Guess he's embarrassed." Thomas smiled thinly. "Dogs do that sometimes." Andrew thanked him repeatedly, clipped the leash, and guided the dog inside. But the moment the door closed, the animal sat down and began shaking. Andrew knelt beside him. "Hey, it's okay, you're home." The dog flinched at the sound of Andrew's voice, ears twitching unnaturally. That night, Max didn't eat, didn't drink, and refused to sleep in his bed. He curled up against the front door, whining softly whenever Andrew tried to move him. Andrew told himself it was normal. Animals, especially rescues, reacted strangely after being lost. Trauma did things like that. Yet, as days passed, the behaviors worsened. The next morning, the dog growled at Andrew, a low, continuous sound whenever he approached. When Andrew reached down to pet him, the dog snapped. His eyes, once warm and trusting, now felt empty, hollow, almost hostile. Later that afternoon, Andrew noticed subtle differences. The ear that had always flopped forward now bent backward. The scar near Max's hind leg was missing. The white patch on his chest had changed shape. Andrew scrolled through old photos on his phone. Every picture confirmed it. This wasn't his dog. Andrew barely slept that night. Around 3 in the morning, he heard faint scratching from downstairs. Creeping to the top of the stairs, he looked down. The dog was at the front door, scratching from the inside, whining softly, as if desperate to leave. The next morning, Andrew went directly to Thomas's house. Curtains drawn, yard immaculate, no sign of a dog. Knocks went unanswered. Andrew returned, shaken. That afternoon, while cleaning, he noticed long, narrow scratches on the wall beneath the laundry shelves, too high to be from a dog. The scratches crawled in jagged lines, faint but unmistakable, like claws dragged by something unnatural. That night, barking erupted, not from his house, but from Thomas's. Desperate, frantic, echoing through the neighborhood. Andrew peered through his bedroom window. The barking stopped abruptly. The next day, he called the police, explained everything. Officers came, and together they went to Thomas's house. The door was unlocked. Inside, the house was immaculate. Too immaculate. No furniture, no photos, no personal effects. A chilling emptiness. In the basement, they found a locked door. The officer forced it open. A stench hit them immediately. Inside were cages, some empty, one occupied. Max, weak, injured, alive, tail wagging faintly at the sight of Andrew. In the far corner lay a notebook filled with names, addresses, dates, and one repeated phrase: replacement complete. Thomas was never found. Andrew moved away a month later. Max recovered physically, but he never fully relaxed. Years later, he still growls at the front door, ears twitching, eyes alert, as if he knows someone or something is standing there, waiting. And Andrew knew deep down that if it ever returned, there would be no stopping it. If you liked the story, subscribe to the channel and write a comment about your scary story. Maybe it will be featured in the next video.